Hi everyone, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Ashley and I am a recovered addict. I used for over 20 years and am now 9.5 years completely sober. Today I am a successful entrepreneur and a successful Reiki master teacher. Both businesses are flourishing and I have completely changed every aspect of who I am. I can tell you that it wasn't easy, but that it is possible. You can go from living in poverty, homeless, addicted, and broken, and become something powerful and someone that you love and someone that you respect and someone that is a successful member of society and being able to completely create a life that you love. A couple of things that are important to know is that in recovery, you will have to put double the energy that you put into using. You will have to work twice as hard in the very beginning. The very first year of your sobriety, if you want sobriety, you will have to begin to retrain your mind. You will have to retrain everything about you, and you will have to eliminate a lot of things that did not serve you in addiction and are not serving you now. So the work ahead of you, if you are in early recovery or in late recovery, if you haven't found that happiness and that peace that you're looking for, you will have to take steps to get yourself there, to retrain your mind. And in today's world, it is very easy compared to what it used to be. This stuff wasn't as accessible as it is now, but with the internet and YouTube and books galore and people really waking up to their true divinity and sharing their knowledge, it is absolutely easy. The hard part is you doing it, you waking up and believing that you are worth doing the work. For so long, I believed that, I wasn't worth being happy, that I was worthless, that I didn't deserve to be happy. Everything in my life showed me that you're not deserving of a good life. You're not deserving and worthy of being happy. The way I was treated as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult showed me and kept proving me over and over and over that I'm not worthy of anything that is good. And it wasn't until I took my life into my own hands and stopped caring about what they thought. And frankly, I was tired of being miserable. I was tired of being depressed. I was tired of being addicted. I was tired of feeling so angry at my family and at my life and what I had created that if I didn't begin to retrain my mind, I was going to either die from addiction or I was going to sit there and be miserable for my life. And my thought process was, if I have to be here and I have to live this life and I see people being happy and I see people living the life that they love, I know that it's possible for me. And so moment by moment, day by day, I took the opportunity to get up and do what I needed to do. Simple little things that you will learn over time to do for yourself. And everybody's little things, little routines are different than mine and than hers or his. It will be your own. You will make it your own. And I have wonderful examples that can help, but you will have to figure out what it is you're trying to do and what you want to do. Another thing that is important to realize is that if you are sitting here and you are sober, even if you're high right now, if you're watching this, somehow it has come across to you, for you. And it is important to know that you've been given a second chance. And if you are breathing and you have breath inside of you, please know and understand that there's something here for you to do. You have been given a golden ticket to recreate your life, and I can tell you right now that it's possible for you to do that. It's possible for you to recreate every aspect of your life. If you would have met me 10 years ago, you would not see who I am today. I was a hot mess, something and somebody that you did not want to be around, trust me. And you definitely do not want to watch her on camera because she had an attitude, she was an a-hole, and she was unsuccessful at everything except using and, causing chaos for her and her family. But the person that I am today, it has taken me, day after day after day to become who I am. And that's what you have to realize is that, yes, you're in the beginning stages of sobriety. you are in recovery, or you're at that point where you're seeking and searching. Do I want to continue using? Is this giving me what I want out of life? Or am I just wasting my time waiting and just wasting away until I die? I can tell you that that is not what you came to do. Addiction is serious, and it will make you believe that you're having a good time. You will smoke weed, you will drink your beer, you will take your ecstasy or acid or whatever it is, and you will believe that I'm partying, I'm having a good time. I only do it every now and again. Or I smoke weed every day to deal with my anxiety or my depression. I smoke weed so that I can actually, cope with other ways of living, however, whatever bothers you. And I just want to tell you that I have nothing against marijuana at all. But I know that there is a way and a path that if you want true happiness without any substance, that is possible. You have a mind that is more powerful than you could ever imagine. The brain that is inside of your head is the most powerful machine in the entire world. Think about it. The brain created everything that you see. Everything that you're looking at right now. You're looking at a computer screen. A mind made that. A brain literally created that. Your mind can heal you. Your mind can kill you. Your mind can keep you on drugs until you die. Or your mind can begin to retrain itself. And you can find yourself in a life that you love. People look around at people who are rich, people who have this or that, and they don't understand that they can have that too. And it's all called beliefs in your mind. Beliefs that you can have this, beliefs that you can have that, and you can. It is completely possible. The last thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that whenever I went to my first rehab, they sat us down the first day and started talking about statistics and how a huge percentage of us, were going to relapse as soon as we got out of rehab. And from that moment, I felt such it was almost like I just sank down in my seat and was just like, damn, I'm never going to beat this. I'm not going to be able to get sober, and what's the point of me even being here? I'm going to spend 30 days in this rehab, and what's the point? And so I stayed in rehab the 30 days, and 2 days later, I was back out on the streets. And I wasted another 6 months of my life and ruined a lot of things during that stint. And I just want you to know that any diagnosis that any doctor has given you, this includes you being an addict, you being ADHD, you having an anxiety disorder, a depression disorder, any sort of bipolar disorder. Let's see. I was labeled quite a few things after I sobered up. They labeled me all kind of things. And I can tell you today, if I were to go back in front of a psychiatrist, they obviously have to diagnose you with something, but it would not be those things because I am not that person. So my point is that any statistic, any diagnosis, anything that you have been labeled, I want you to remember one thing. They do not know you. They do not know what's in your heart. They do not know what's in your mind. They do not know your spirit and who you are. And that is something that you need to remember when somebody says anything negative about you. You need to remind yourself, they do not know me. They do not know what's inside of me. You have an entire world inside of you. A whole nother just living world inside of you. We live in our heads. We live out, but we also have a whole nother, self-talk going on inside of our heads. And when somebody that is in authority speaks to us in that manner, we tend to believe it. When our moms or our dads or our stepdads say something to us, we tend to think as children. I know I did. They would say something to me, and I would believe them because I believed that they knew me better than I knew me. As a child, you don't know better. You think, oh, well, they must know me. That's my mom. That's my dad. That's my stepdad. Even though he's not my dad, he's still a grown-up. He's in authority. That's my grandma. Obviously, she knows that I'm not smart in school. or whatever it is, whatever they said to me. I took it to heart because I thought for sure they knew me better than I knew me. And I really took that, I really believed that as a child. And I looked to my mom and I looked to these people in authority for direction and to help me and to show me how to live. And I never got that direction. The only thing I got was watching what everybody was doing around me. And I can tell you, for most of us growing up in the 80s, maybe it was good for you, but I know for a lot of addicts, it wasn't that good. That's why a lot of us do, go off and use, because we dealt with a lot of trauma as a child. And I'm not saying everybody, but I know for me, I started when I was, 11 years old and just smoking weed, and it was the greatest gift that I could ever receive because it took so much pain away from me. It took all the stress off my shoulders. I felt a relief and a release of tension that I had never felt before. And I was so thankful. I thought it was a godsend. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And, I didn't become an addict overnight. It started slowly, it was like, oh, marijuana, oh, this, and then I started selling at 11 years old, and then it began, harder drugs, and, I always had drugs on me. That was a given. I made sure that I never ran out because it always was around me. And then number 2, I never wanted to feel again, if that makes sense. So if that's the addictive behavior, then by all means, I was definitely an addict from the beginning because I did not want to feel after having that first hit. I knew that I had found what I was looking for. I had found the relief I was looking for. So I made sure that I always had a little bit with me every night before I went to bed so that I had something to wake up to in the morning. And I did this for 20 years. And I made sure, obviously the drugs got harder as I got a little bit older. The end of my career was meth because it's easy. And my addiction really kicked in my 20s when I began using painkillers and abusing them. And that drug, painkillers, is something that you never want to get on. If a doctor prescribes you painkillers, throw them in the trash right away. That's just my advice. I will never take another painkiller in my life because that is the worst withdrawal and that is the worst addiction in my mind. And so anyways, that led me, it was years upon years of drug addiction, which causes more trauma, which keeps you in the cycle of trauma, addiction, one thing happening after another. Because when you're running that hard and you're around people that are of a lower vibration and who are running that hard, people don't care. And I can tell you, in the year 2021, I would be really scared for anybody out there using. I haven't used for 9 years, but you can feel and you can see how bad it has gotten, where people here do not care. They're selling drugs that are they're selling drugs that are killing people, basically. And when I was using, it was bad out here, but when I was growing up, it wasn't that bad. We all knew each other. We all used, we all came from the same place and hung out. But out here, in a bigger city, these people do not care. And I can tell you, wherever you are, as the vibrations of the people rise and we are changing and we are becoming more heart opened, there is also the polarity where people are of a lower vibration. So as we go higher, some people go lower. And so we want to be really careful, especially when we're using substances, that, we want to stay away from it, first of all, if you can. And second of all, it's detrimental to your soul and to your mind, and it's a lie. And I think that's the biggest thing that you need to understand when it comes to substances. You think that you're using and you're getting relief, and I'm here to tell you the relief you are looking for is within you, and you want that so badly. I know you do. And the way to it is walking the path. You have to get up every day. You have to take care of yourself. You have to connect. You have to retrain your mind. And the way that I did retrain my mind when I did sober up after 20 years of using, I had to write down the things that I did. I had to write down what I needed to do. When you have grown up using and then you sober up, your mind is like a vegetable and you don't think clearly. You don't even know what to do. And so for me, I remember coming out of jail and then rehab and then going home, and I was free, right? I had been locked up in jail for 3 months, and then I had gone to rehab and for a couple of months, and then I came home to my mom's house, thank God. And I remember waking up the next day and I said, with tears in my eyes, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. All I knew was hustling drugs and waking up every day and getting high and doing this and, feeding my addiction and helping others feed theirs. That was my job. That was what I did every day. That's what I focused on. That's all I wanted to do. That's what I know to do is hustle. And so I had to literally write out what I needed to do. I woke up. I had to brush my teeth. I had to, take a shower and go eat. And then I began to add little things into my day. Because when I first got home, I would take a shower and then I'd be so depressed and cold that I would throw my sweats back on and crawl back in bed. Because I couldn't go any further. The depression and the suicidal stuff and everything was so bad that I literally would just grip my pillow praying that the pain would pass. And so, I did this. It took me a while to get my mind back right. But whenever I was in jail, I found this little prayer book, right? And I began just reading through things and reading through these prayers. And I was like, oh, this is definitely giving me a little bit of a shift. I got some chills on my body and I was like, oh, this feels powerful. And so I started reading them every morning. And eventually I started reading them aloud in my jail cell. And every morning and then every night before I went to bed. And during the day, if these thoughts of suicidal stuff or like depression or anything like that came up, I would go in the jail cell and I'd read these prayers again out loud, and I would feel a certain shield being covered over me, if that makes sense. It just felt like an energy shift, but like a shield came up, and it was like nothing could really, like these thoughts and all this stuff was like, it was almost like silence, it just almost silenced these negative thoughts that I had been thinking for so long. And I was like, wow, there's something to this. There's definitely something to this. And as many of you know, there is something to that. There's something to the retraining of the mind. When you think, oh, I can't think about drugs anymore. But you say, I can't think about drugs anymore. You're thinking about drugs. You're trying not to think about something that you want to not think about. And what you have to do is, instead of I have to completely not think about drugs, you have to come over here and put something else in place of drugs. And so you have to really focus in on anything else but the drugs. So it takes a minute and some time, and my prayers or whatever may not work for you, and that's fine. It's not a religious thing for me. It was a retraining of my mind. Those words had power for me. Those words they entered into my heart and expanded my heart. And day by day, moment by moment, they helped me to retrain my mind. Now, you can do mantras. You can do anything that you want that brings in that good feeling. I am beautiful. I am this. I am that. Whatever it is that gives you that energy shift, that lets you know, that helps you to remove these negative thoughts out of your mind, if that makes sense. Another thing that I started to do, I would do the prayers. I would find some good material to put into my mind, whether it be devotional stuff or just a book that has positive thoughts in it. That was really powerful. I would read one page and then I would put it down because it begins to uplift you. It begins to put positive material in your mind. When you have been in the streets, when you have been in I've got this hard shell all over me. I had a brick wall with a barbed wire fence with, concrete around my heart where I could never feel again, and I made sure of that. I built that when I was a child, and I made sure that nothing, not even love, would get in there, and it didn't. And so, we chipped that away, little by little, every day. And, another thing was I began walking every day. That's for the physical. You wanted to move your body. I didn't really want to get outside. I didn't really want to be alive, but some days when I first started, I I walked to the stop sign, which was like just a little ways down. And then I felt so, not paranoid, but I felt very uncomfortable being out in the open. I was used to riding at night in the dark. I was used to being out at dark. I wasn't used to being out in the sunshine and, around people. And I just felt so ashamed of who I was. It just felt so uncomfortable to walk around. So it took me a while to really, get back into the groove of life. And, those walks began so sweetly. I'd walk to the stop sign and then I'd walk back and I'd be exhausted. And so I'd have to go lay down and rejuvenate. And then the next day, maybe I got a little bit farther. And then I started doing 30-minute walks a day. It would take me all the way around and I would come back and I'd feel so good. I'd have all the endorphins flowing. My mind would feel good. I would not feel all these crazy thoughts. And eventually I got up to 2 30-minute walks a day. And that was just so enlightening, so beautiful for me. And so that is for the physical. Another thing is you want to do a check-in with yourself. One thing that is important is a gratitude list in the morning. You can just write 5 to 10 things down every single day. What are you grateful for? Just have a notebook here, next to your bed or whatever it is, and just write down. If it's only 2 things, so be it. Just write the 2 things down. It's something that is coming out of you and being planted here. Your mind is like, all right, and then at night before you go to bed, you want to do a win list. And it's just 5 to 10 things that you did that day. So in the beginning for me, it was, I got out of bed. That was a win. And I was proud of myself. And that's basically what it is. It's giving you that confidence to keep showing up every day. Every day. I got up today. I got out of bed today. Oh, I took a shower. That's another win. I brushed my teeth. That's another win. It can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. And in the beginning, it can be as simple as I put on my pajamas and I went back to bed. Just let it be whatever it needs to be. And then you read it and you go, wow, I did do something today. I did do this today. I did get up for myself today. You're building that confidence within yourself so that you can build the trust for you. You don't need anybody else to trust you. When you're in addiction, you don't trust anybody. And you lose trust for yourself, because when you're in addiction, you don't want to. Basically, addiction is like walking you down to your death. And I hate to be so blunt and so vulgar about it, but it's the truth. It's like addiction is this thing that is just holding your hand and walking you to your death. It's walking you to death and destruction. And on the way, it's going to give you some traumas. On the way, it's going to show you this. It's going to show you that. And when you let go of that addiction, you have to be strong enough to not let it grab your hand again. You got to watch out for it because it's always lurking for a little bit. At least the first year, the first few years maybe. It's always lurking. It's waiting on you. It's saying, here, I got this for you. This will make that pain go away. This will make the trauma go away. This will make those memories go away. Come here, give me your hand. So you have to be strong enough to, completely just move that out. And to deny that and to say, no, I am not giving in to that. So you want to just make sure that you're getting some exercise and the retraining of your brain, the retraining of your mind, your win list, your gratitude list, and if you feel like exercising, that is wonderful, but the walking was so powerful for me. So if you can't get out there and just rock it and, work out or all that stuff, our bodies need to replenish. We probably didn't drink enough water when we were using. We probably didn't eat the right things. We probably didn't get the proper sleep and the proper anything. And our minds were so stressed, or they were just so not online. So you have to be patient with yourself in recovery. You have to be patient with yourself in early sobriety. There are things that are going to trigger you that would trigger you while you were using, but you had the drugs. And the drugs make everything better, So you have to know that those drugs are not going to make it better. Those drugs are just going to prolong your happiness. And if you want happiness, walk the path. You stand up to your addiction and you say, you know what, F you. You're not taking me down. And you have to get to that place. You have to put blinders on and you have to run your race, and you have to change a lot of things. And I know that's kind of hard for people who have a lot of friends who use, who have a lot of friends who go out drinking, who have a lot of friends who drink on the weekends and party. But I can tell you right now, 2021 can be your year. And if it's not your year yet and you're in early recovery, let 2022 be your year. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we are heading into times that you're going to be able to manifest anything that you want. And now is the time to begin training your mind right now. Like today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, like today. Make the decision and say, I am done with this addiction. I am done with wasting another second of my life. I want to experience my version of heaven on earth. It's possible. I'm telling you guys, it is so possible, and you are more than worthy. You deserve happiness. You deserve peace. I don't know what you've been through in your life, but I can tell you right now, every one of us has been through our own trauma. If 2020 didn't give you some trauma, I can almost guarantee your childhood, your adulthood, your teenagehood, something like that gave you trauma. And by God, you want to be repaid back for everything that has been taken from you. And you will have that. You will get that. You will begin to see things change if you step up and put your shoulders back and your chin up and you say, this is my world. This is my life. I am the creator. I am creating my reality. I am creating who I am. I am creating the people around me. I am creating where I live, what I drive, how much money I make. I am the creator. I am co-creating with all the forces that be. And we are creating everything that I desire. And know this in your heart and believe it in your mind. And start acting as if it's happening. That's the one thing for me. When I was in sobriety, I always early sobriety, I looked at people that were so happy driving these super nice cars, and they just smiled and were married and doing all these things. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing. Like, if they can do that, so can I. I don't know who they are, but I know it's possible for me. And on some days, I was not happy about that, because I was like, how? They must have had a really good childhood. They must have had parents that give them everything. I thought all these stupid things, but no, it's because they chose to be happy. They chose to have these things. They chose to figure it out. And I'm telling you, it is easy to figure it out. You train your mind, move out old beliefs, figure it out from that point. And it's possible. And so I just thank you so much for listening, and I thank you so much for being here and being in this world right now. I know addiction is hard. I know sobriety can be hard, but I'm telling you that one day in sobriety, a hard day in sobriety, is better than one day in addiction. And I know some of you may not believe that, especially if you're in early recovery where you're hurting, but I'm telling you that if you keep going, you will find it. You will find what you're looking for, I promise. So don't stop looking, don't stop trying, don't stop for anybody or anything. If somebody's causing you grief, move them out. You have to. You have to keep your blinders on. You have to change friends, do it. If you have to be a loner for a while, do it. If you have to be changing what you listen to, the music, all that stuff, do it. I had to do it all. I had to change everything. And you know what I gained? everything that I could ever dream of, everything that I want in life is here and manifesting in this moment, manifesting tomorrow. Everything is coming to me as I'm ready for it and as I'm manifesting it. As I moved old stuff out, I regained so much better. Everything that you could ever want is right there waiting on you. Move the stuff out that doesn't belong to you. Move the stuff out that's hurting or harming you. Move the thoughts out that don't belong to you. Empty all that stuff out. Get it out of your mind and allow yourself to come into a place of a desired reality where you begin to live in your mind the life that you want to live. I thank you so much for listening, and I'm sending so much love out to you, each of you, for watching. And until next time we meet here again, I will see you later.